Rand Paul was on Sean Hannity, and when it comes to Obamacare and the economy, Rand Paul, clearly the smartest man in the room, and thankfully, we've got some liberals here. He's going to educate us about how the economy works, how healthcare works, and so first, we're libs. Capitalism, we've heard about it. We don't really know how it functions. So Rand Paul, talk to us about that.
Well, the thing is about this, Sean, is this is a fundamental misunderstanding. Liberals have no idea of how capitalism works. They have no idea why, when you go to Walmart, products are cheap, how they get from one point to the other, and how they're distributed in such a cheap fashion. But they don't understand the intricacies of how the profit motive and how you, the efficiencies that go into distribution and trade.
So what was he saying? We don't understand the intricacies.
Intricacies, yes.
We don't understand the intricacies of profit motive? We don't understand that people running businesses want to make money, and so they want to keep their costs down so that they make the most amount of money, and if they have shareholders so that they get that money. I think we got that. I get that. I think you get that in fourth grade.
Well, look, to give him a little bit of credit, when you have somebody like Amazon, I have no clue how they function day to day, like how they're able to distribute products so efficiently. Although it's interesting, I was reading someone who was criticizing Amazon.
Anything.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, but they do distribute it. I mean, it's a huge, huge site. And somebody was critiquing Amazon, saying that, you know, they something like $8 billion a year in business or something like that, and they employ 60,000 people, which is great. But if it wasn't Amazon, if it was retail stores, it wouldn't be 60,000 people, it'd be 1 million people. And so their efficiency is actually kind of a bad thing in some ways.
You know, I wasn't knocking them not making anything. That's one of the reasons that's one of
they're so efficient.
Right,
yeah.
that works well, is that they don't have to worry about making anything.
Yeah, but I just love that Rand Paul, like, oh, you liberals, I'm going to teach you about why the free market would be better for healthcare, which, by the way, we're still going through the free market. Right. I think he's missed that.
No, I know, and I think the most frustrating aspect of this is, you know, regardless of all his fancy talk, right? I mean, no,
fancy.
But just think about the major corporations that are highly profitable in the United States. Walmart, he gave that example, so let's focus on Walmart. Because of the fact that Walmart refuses to pay its employees a living wage, the government subsidizes those employees, right? The government ends up paying for, you know, the health and the well-being of those employees, whether it's through food stamps or welfare or whatever it is, right? So a person like Rand Paul wants to get rid of all regulation, so Walmart can actually abuse them and exploit them more, and on top of that, he would get rid of the same social programs that those people depend on just to make ends meet and just to live, right? So I understand perfectly what people like Rand Paul are in favor of. He needs to understand what the point of a democratic process and the point of America is, because he seems to miss that.
Yeah.
Look, I can see Barack Obama, to me, can seem super condescending at times, right? And
yeah, he can.
But nobody, Barack Obama has never had a moment of condescension quite like liberals. You don't understand the intricacies of this process. It's very complicated. You're such a pretty girl. You know?
Pretty on the outside. Nothing going on the inside when it comes to the economy, I guess.
Look at you sitting up here trying to talk and all. It's great.
With your scarf.
It's so great. It's
great. Falling off the chair once.
I'm super proud of you. What I don't think he understands is that we, and I say we, I don't mean liberals, I mean Americans, we haven't had, we don't want, and we haven't had since 1929 unfettered capitalism.
Exactly.
We don't have capitalism. Capitalism doesn't just exist like do whatever you want, whatever you want. We had it basically for a while where there was no regulation, and something went horribly, horribly wrong in October of 1929.
Yeah, there are a lot of countries around the world that have far fewer regulations, both in terms of business, but also a lot less government, I guess, presence in the economy. And those countries don't work. Their economies don't grow like ours do because you're not safe and free to run businesses. Corruption that's not checked by government makes it almost impossible to start businesses, impossible to enforce contracts. You need the government for an economy to work in a modern society.
I mean, look at what's happening in Bangladesh right now, right? With all these employees that are dying in these dilapidated buildings. I mean, you need the government to get involved and to regulate, to make sure that these corporations and these companies are treating their employees appropriately. So not only that they live, but also that they are provided with something that they can live with.
Let me just, I'll give Rand Paul a couple of pieces of information that this argument maybe should have, because liberals don't understand capitalism. Because capitalism and the American economy was such a giant failure during the Clinton administration. And in the 1960s, when John F. Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson were president, and from 1933 to 1953, really, when FDR and Harry Truman were president of the United States. I'm even leaving Jimmy Carter out of this argument, right? And then if you want to talk about, well, it wasn't just the presidents, it was Congress. basically from 1933, when after the Depression, FDR and Democrats swept into control of both the House and the Senate. Democrats, liberals, for a while, those Democrats some of them were horrible racists.
Yeah, exactly.
But basically, the much more progressive party came into power in 1933. From 1933 until 1964, Republicans held the House over that 61-year period, or 62-year period, for 4 years. 4, right? And the Senate for 12, because they had it from 81 to 87 in the first part of the Reagan administration. So the House and the Senate for all those years overwhelmingly dominated by Democrats, with with a pretty even distribution of presidents, but a lot of Democratic presidents in there. And the economy grew from that period of time like it has never grown in the history of America. So I guess there's some chance that there are a couple liberals out there who know how this thing works. But he doesn't know how it works because he really thinks that capitalism meant unfettered capitalism. That's it, without a regulation, without OSHA protecting those workers anywhere. Right, because otherwise we know, because in Bangladesh they don't do it here. The private sector will not do that. They will not protect people.
Well, here's one more thing that I want to get to. This is really fast, our last thing on this. One thing about capitalism that Rand Paul apparently does not understand, and he's going to reveal it in this video.
The thing about it is, if it's so good and it's free and it's going to be so easy to get on the website, why do they have to advertise to get you to do it? Why are they going door to door trying to convince people that Obamacare is so great? I mean, if it's supposedly free and cheaper and it's going to be the best thing since sliced bread, why do we have to convince people to go buy it?
Okay, so he's giving us libs a masterclass on how capitalism works, and he is apparently saying that every business is wasting every dollar they spend on advertising, because if your product is so great, why would you have to advertise for it? Coke wasting billions every year in advertising, and I would like to predict, and since he must be he's a consistent man during his next election, because he's such an awesome politician. I have a feeling he won't be running any ads for his campaign, right? Because he's so awesome. Why would you need to advertise?
He's got a great brand name.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. That's great. That's a great point to make as soon as he runs his first ad. You know, I feel like, I'm not an asshole. I know that the NFL plays on Sunday, right? The NFL doesn't need to tell me when its games are coming up. The NFL's just back off. Never tell us when another football game is going to be played. It's a great product. We'll fucking find it.
No, have you watched Comedy Central for the past 15 or so years? Girls Gone Wild advertises almost every day. They have to advertise titties, okay? Titties are popular, but they still have to run the ads to get you to purchase the tapes, okay?